Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Prachajana Lanjana Yashodanandana Prachajana Lanjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopikana Vallabha Girivaradari Gopikana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Prachajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Prachajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Kodanitai, Jaya Mayapur Shashi, Jaya Kodanitai, Jaya Mayapur Shashi. I'm just reading from Srila Prabhupada's Leela Nita.
If we can leave it 5-10 minutes for questions.
Yes.
And finish at 8:30.
We're coming to the end now. Find the marker. Srila Prabhupada had deferred the lessons in dying in favour of giving his disciples an unparalleled opportunity to serve him in pure and simple love. He allowed this not only for a few, but whoever came to Vrindavan. Many came, and all were allowed to enter Srila Prabhupada's room, massage his body, and sit with him as long as they liked, day and night, chanting the holy name for his pleasure. Srila Prabhupada also recommenced his translating, and this was done openly. Whereas previously he had always worked in solitude, he now encouraged all devotees to come as he lay in bed dictating his Bhaktivedanta purports. He was giving himself completely and declaring it also, telling the devotees present, "Never leave me," and "I cannot live without your company." They had asked him to stay, and he had agreed, consigning himself completely to their care. Those who were blessed to have this service felt themselves passing over all barriers of reluctance to serve, as well as all barriers of material desire. By intimately serving Srila Prabhupada, they felt the strength of complete surrender and sensed that this would sustain them always, even when Srila Prabhupada eventually did depart from this world. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Yeah. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Please forgive any offences I may make today, and please give me your blessings for my first class. We're reading today from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 8, Text 13. Prayers by Queen Kunti. Vyasanam Vikshya Tat Tesham Vyasanam Viksha Tat Tesham Ananya Vishayatmanam Ananya Vishayatmanam Sudarshenan Sudarshanena Svastrena Sudarshanena Svastrena Svanam Raksham Vyadat Vibhuhu Svanam Raksham Vyadat Vibhuhu Vyasanam Vikshatat Tesham Ananya Vishayatmanam Sudarshanena Svastrena Svanam Raksham Vyadat Vibhuhu Vyasanam Vikshatat Tesham Ananya Vishatmanam Sudarshanena Svastrena Svanam Raksham Vyadat Vibhuhu Vyasanam Vikshatat Tesham Ananya Vishayatmanam Sudarshanena Svastrena Svanam Raksham Vyadat Vibhuhu. Devotees. Vyasanam Vikshatat Tesham Ananya Vishayatmanam Sudarshanena Svastrena Svanam Raksham Vyatpadu Vyasanam Vikshahatedam Ananya Vishayatmanam Sudarshanena Svastrena Svanam Raksham Vyadat Vibhu. Vyasanam Vishayatesham Ananya Vishayatmanam Sudarshanena Svastrena Svanam Raksham Vyadat Vibhu. Vyasanam Vishayatecham Yanya Vishanatmenam Sudarshanena Svastrena Svanam Raksham Vyadat Vibhu. Vyasanam Vikshatat Tesham Ananya Vishayatmanam Sudarshanena Svastrena Svanam Raksham Vyadat Vibhu. Vyasanam, great danger. Vikshya, having observed. Tat, that. Tesham, there. Ananya, no other. Vishaya, means. Atmanam, thus inclined. Sudarshanan, by the wheel of Lord Shri Krishna. Svaastrena, by the weapon, Svanam, of his own devotees, Raksham, protection, Vyadhat, did it, Vibhuhu, the Almighty. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnana-chalakaya Chakshuranmilitanyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasti Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. The Almighty Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, having observed that a great danger was befalling his unalloyed devotees, who were fully surrendered souls, at once took up his Sudarshan disc to protect them. The Brahmastra, the supreme weapon released by Asvatthama, was something similar to the nuclear weapon, but with more radiation and heat. This Brahmastra is the product of a more subtle science, being the product of a finer sound, a mantra recorded in the Vedas. Another advantage of this weapon is that it is not blind like the nuclear weapon because it can be directed only to the target and nothing else. Ashvatthama released the weapon just to finish all the male members of Pandu's family. Therefore, in one sense, it was more dangerous than the atomic bombs because it could penetrate even the most protected place and would never miss the target. Knowing all this, Lord Sri Krishna at once took up his personal weapon to protect his devotees, who did not know anyone other than Krishna. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord has clearly promised that his devotees are never to be vanquished, and he behaves according to the quality or degree of the devotional service rendered by the devotees. Here the word Ananya Vishayatmanam is significant. The Pandavas were 100% dependent on the protection of the Lord, although they were all the great warriors themselves. But the Lord neglects even the greatest warriors and also vanquishes them in no time. When the Lord saw that there was no time for the Pandavas to counteract the Brahmastra of Ashvatthama, he took up his weapon, even at the risk of breaking his own vow. Although the battle of Kurukshetra was almost finished, still, according to his vow, he should not have taken up his own weapon. But the emergency was more important than the vow. He is better known as the Bhaktavatsala, or the lover of his devotee, and thus he preferred to continue as Bhaktavatsala than to be a worldly moralist who never breaks his solemn vow. The Almighty Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, having observed that a great danger was befalling his unalloyed devotees, who were fully surrendered souls, at once took up his Sudarshan disc to protect them. At this point in the Mahabharata, it's just at the very, very, very end of the war in Kurukshetra. The Pandavas have won the war and defeated their friends, their family, their cousins, their teachers, their gurus, and all by the fact that Krishna was just on their side. They weren't happy. They were lamenting the fallen. They were lamenting the loss of their children. They were lamenting the loss of all of their dynasty. At that point in time, Uttara, the wife of Abhimanyu, Arjuna's son, came running to Krishna in great fear and desperation, knowing that Asvatthama's weapon, the Brahmastra, was pointed at her unborn child. Abhimanyu had fallen in the war. Her father had fallen in the war. Her brother had fallen in the war. She had no protection left. The only protection that she knew and she immediately ran for was Lord Krishna. The Pandavas were standing next to Lord Krishna, 5 huge warriors having won the war. She didn't give them one glance. Her only thought was for Krishna. Her only chance of protection was the Lord that she knew was the Lord of the universe. Krishna himself had stopped her walking into the pyre of Abhimanyu by telling her that she had a child and she had to stay and take care of that child. So in her moment of absolute and utter distress, she had no thought but to run for the protection of Krishna. She had no thought but to surrender to his mercy. She had no thought but to just fall at his feet and take shelter. She was bearing the last of the Kuru dynasty in her womb. Everyone else had died. There was only the one left. All of the sons had died in the war by fair means or foul. In that final act of the war, Asvatthama, the last of the opposing army, treacherously diverted his Brahmastra to target that last of the unborn Kurus in the womb. Uttara was in the greatest of dangers, and she sped to Krishna's chariot. She was such a pure devotee that she even took the time to stop and address and glorify Krishna in the proper manner. It was only a few words, but she remembered how to properly treat the Lord of the universe and according him all respects before throwing herself on his mercy, under his protection. Krishna immediately understood her plight. Krishna knows everything at once, at all times. He immediately took action and lifted up his disc even before the Pandavas could even string their bows. Before any of the Pandavas could react, Krishna was already acting in defense of his devotee. Uttara had no thought but Krishna's shelter, fully surrendering to the Lord of the universe, rather like Draupadi. When Draupadi had no shelter, her husbands couldn't protect her any longer. She just threw up her hands and let Krishna take care. That type of surrender is also fully manifest with Uttara as well, and total acceptance of the shelter of Lord Krishna. We can also learn from their examples. Every day we have our mini surrenders. Every day we surrender to the alarm clock. We surrender to the shower. We surrender to our bead bags. We surrender to the trips and falls of everyday life, and we learn from them. We pick ourselves up. We take shelter of Lord Krishna, and we progress, and we grow within that relationship. The bhakti path is full of obstacles and challenges to test and prove us, to improve us, to rub those frictions and become the jewels that Krishna knows that we are. Each time we make the choice to have faith in Krishna's protection is that next step on the road to the ultimate test. The ultimate test in life for all of us is death. What will we do at the time of death? Who will we take shelter in? The path of bhakti is the only way, is the only process that can hone us and focus us, just like a weapon, to counteract the trials of everyday life. Each mini surrender is building that trust and that faith that Krishna's arms are the safest place to be. Until that final test, when all we want with our last breath is to say Hare Krishna. Krishna immediately acted to protect his devotees. He promised us that. In Bhagavad Gita 9:31, he said, Kuntiya prajijanihi name bhakta pranasyati. O son of Kunti, declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. He asked Arjuna to declare it boldly because he knew that Arjuna was his reputation as a true Kshatriya, loyal, truthful, never breaking vows, always the most epitome of a Kshatriya, that he would be believed and it would be understood that this was true words. Krishna, because of his love for his devotees, understands that sometimes vows are there to be broken for him, that the higher path of taking care of his devotees is more important than his dharmic reputation. This is why he asked Arjuna to declare his promise, because he considers his righteous devotees far more important than any vow. He always puts his devotees first. Even acting for the Pandavas as a charioteer, a messenger boy, a friend. According to the will of the Pandavas, his friends, obeying them just like a servant. That can be found in the Srimad Bhagavatam 1:16-16. He behaves according to the quality and the degree of devotion of service rendered by the devotees. He is Bhaktavatsala, the lover of the devotees, above all. Srila Prabhupada gave us this translation of the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the retelling of questions and answers between, many different levels, but in particular between the great sage, Sukadeva Goswami, and the now grown but dying King Parikshit, who was saved from his mother's womb by Krishna and his Sudarshan disc. He was saved from the womb to be an example to us all. How to ask the questions, how to focus our life and ensure that what we choose is the right path for us. That we continue to ask the questions right up to the very end to deepen our knowledge of the absolute truth. Our goal in life is to sincerely search for that absolute truth by following the science of self-realization that Srila Prabhupada set out for us. Every day is our practice. Every day we improve our attitude and our character inquiring from our teachers, our mentors, our devotee friends. We hear and we act on those answers. By following the regulative principles and by chanting, it will bring us closer to Krishna. We have to stop worrying and overthinking, and just, like it says in Bhagavad Gita 1866, Sarva dharman parijyaja mamekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayami masuchaha. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from sinful reactions. Do not fear. Krishna promises to protect us, and we just need to trust that promise and surrender unto him. Bit by bit, every day, with faith and love. Masuchaha. Don't fear. Don't hesitate. Don't worry. Thank you. So, any questions, please, corrections, reflections? Thank you.
For the next class, we were saying, just surrender.
Surrender. Let it go. There's a Disney song out at the moment that's called Let It Go, and it's actually our mantra in work, because we have to stop micromanaging and lamenting about the past. What's done is done. We just have to kind of clean up our mess and carry on. So let it go, deal with what's now, and move on, learn the lessons. Thank you.
And just have a question. You mentioned that, like Krishna said, marriage. I'm just slightly confused because sadly, occasionally, they do.
Their body perishes.
Yeah, but with the. Oh, I understand now.
The shell they're living in, that protecting their body, perishes. But the devotee is always with Krishna. Krishna is always going to take care of them. It may be we will get back home. Absolutely, Krishna's holding us and cradling us and carrying us back home, if we let him.
Just to follow on from John Hughes' question as well. It said there's good advice in the past, and at the same time, if we have some experience which is unpleasant, then we have to remember that, so we don't end up in the same situation again.
Absolutely. What I meant by let it go was picking at it. You have a cut on your hand. If you keep picking at it, it's never going to heal. You might see a scar, which I have several, but that scar is the remembrance. Yes, it's been and done and gone, but I'm not going to keep picking at that scar. I'm not going to go over and over and get stuck in that moment. The only way to progress is to actually deal with the situation. Whatever that situation may be, may require apologising to someone. It may require apologising to yourself sometimes as well, and stop beating yourself up. And then letting it go. That is now in the past, and the future is different. The future will be different because of that situation. Every trip, every spill is an opportunity to learn. and to grow. And every time we face our fears, fall down in embarrassment, is the opportunity to learn humility without being a victim, and then to embrace with compassion those around us so that we can lift each other up together. Working cooperatively, very important. Thank you. Ashish?
Hi Krishna, thank you for the class. There's an online comment, I will read out the comment and then I have a question. The comment, Hare Krishna, thank you for this lesson, Mohini. Your comments ring very true. You are a natural teacher. It's like Amon, and I absolutely echo what he says. You are a very natural teacher. Fascinating, very sweet class. I have a question. So Krishna says that my devotee never perishes, and we see someone coming into devotional service, practicing nicely for a certain period of time, and then quits practicing devotional service. So much so that goes into kind of sinful activities as well. So how come that devotee isn't protected? How come the devotee is perishing? When we say that the devotee is actually perishing.
I can actually speak from experience with that. I came to Krishna consciousness about 30 years ago, and did fall away from it and went right back to my old life, big time. But Krishna was still there. Krishna was there just like a little tiny little speck, that little, when you see it in a dark night, but you can see a tiny little candle in a window at the top of a hill, but that candle's still there and you can still see it. So that little candle was still lit in my heart. I might have tried very, very hard to damp it and blow it out and try and ignore it, but it was still there. And I knew I was kidding myself on, that there was no taste. There was no taste whatsoever in the material world that was going to give me what I had already experienced within Krishna consciousness with the devotees, chanting, reading. There was nothing that compared with that joy. So I came back. Thankfully, Prabhupada Prana walked into my shop one morning and pulled me back. Krishna's not going to let go. Once it might not have been in this life. Thankfully, it has been in this life, but next life, I would have had the opportunity again. I have no doubt whatsoever. Krishna doesn't let go. Does that help?
Very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim.
When our faith is tested and things are difficult, do you have any advice to keep your eye on the candle in the window, no matter how far away it seems?
Sometimes my eye wasn't on the candle in the window, but it was still there. Though I couldn't see it, it was still there. So again, it's surrender, it's trusting that Krishna is the one that's taking care. It's not me that was endeavouring to see the candle. So it's all about surrender. It's all about relaxing into Krishna's arms, knowing that Krishna is there to catch you, to hold you, to usher you He's there for everything. He's in charge, and he's the Lord of your life. So yeah, it wasn't my endeavour to see that candle. That candle was there. Yes, please.
Yeah, I think some of the answers and the questions keep your eye on the candle. And as soon as you don't see it, then take advice from those who've brought you this far. And who have helped you this far, because they've helped you get your head back on the candle again. It always works. Take shelter in the holy name, and taking shelter into His guidance. Even if it seems to go against the way that our logic or reason may say at times. I remember one instance, I was a bit overburdened with service. I was cooking for the devotees when the temples at the bottom, and then to go to Sanctan as well. To begin with, just covering for somebody, but then for some reason I ended up doing it every day. That's what happens in Srimad, if you think devotees like, then you end up having to do it every day. Anyway, I was feeling a bit stressed out about it. And I couldn't quite see why I had to keep on doing that. And I went to my authority and they said, well, it's a sign that Krishna is happy with your service. You've been given this extra service, so take it like your chanting must be good. But there was another part of that as well, is that I didn't really want to surrender to that. And I couldn't see why I had to surrender to that, because in some ways I thought it was causing me more trouble than I needed. And then I thought it says, well, if you just surrender to it, stop trying to work it out, just surrender to it, then you'll see it. So then I did, and then it worked out. So putting faith in instructions of the people who are guiding us, they can see a little bit further ahead. They know that if we do this, we're going to go from that up, and we're going to break through to a high level of understanding.
Sadhu, Shastra. We need all three in our lives. Without the Guru, we don't understand Shastra. Without the Sadhus, we don't know who our Guru is. So we need all three, and most importantly, because it's in our everyday lives, we need the Sadhus. We need the devotees. I might not have come back had Krishna not put Prabhupada Prabhu into my life, into my shop. So, yeah, without the devotees, I'd be nothing. I'd be a blob on the couch somewhere. Thank you. Anything else? Finish there. Thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Vaishnavas ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Yeah.